I spent $6,200 on UX education, $1,200 for a UX writing course, $5,000 for a UX career bootcamp. I followed every curriculum, completed every assignment, trusted the process, and I still bombed interviews. Not because I didn't understand the work, I did, but because the UX industry profits from keeping you learning, not getting you hired. And that gap, that disconnect between what courses teach and what interviews actually test, it quietly costs people years and a lot of money. Hi, I'm Roxana, founder of the Content Design Co. And if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but interviews keep falling apart, this one's for you. Let's get something straight right out of the gate. This isn't a woe is me story about wasted money. This is about a professional misunderstanding that I see repeated constantly across UX and content design careers. And it pisses me off, not because people aren't smart enough or working hard enough, but because the system is designed to keep you busy instead of hireable. So let me walk you through what this looked like for me. For a long time, I thought my interview problem was about confidence. That explanation felt good. It made the problem feel personal and fixable. If interviews felt hard, the advice was always the same: practice more, prepare more, get more feedback. So that's what I did. Took a $1,200 UX writing course, loved it, learned a ton. Then I enrolled in a $5,000 UX career bootcamp. This wasn't casual spending. This was serious money I needed for my family. But I believed the promise: do this work and you'll be ready. On paper, I was doing everything the UX education industry recommends. My work was improving. My roles were changing. From the outside, things looked like they were moving forward. And yet, interviews kept falling apart. Here's the part that made me furious. In content design interviews, none of what I learned held up. Not the frameworks, not the terminology, not the polished case studies I'd built following the curriculum. And it wasn't that I didn't understand the work. I did. I could explain my decisions clearly after the interview on my own terms. I understood why I'd made certain choices, what trade offs I'd considered. But in interviews, something kept collapsing. The more I tried to fix it, the more personal the problem felt. I assumed I'd made the wrong choices, that I'd wasted money I couldn't afford to waste, that I trusted a system that promised preparation, delivered something else entirely. And here's what made it worse: the UX education ecosystem doesn't talk about this gap. If courses and boot camps worked the way they imply, if they actually prepared you for interviews, they would show up when it mattered. They don't. So I kept looking for the next thing: more feedback, more practice, more credentials, more courses, anything that would make me feel like I was finally ready, because that's what the industry sells: readiness. But interviews, don't test readiness. They test whether your portfolio can carry your thinking without you in the room. And that's a completely different thing. Eventually, I stopped trying to feel more ready and I made a decision that honestly didn't look impressive on paper. I took a $1 per hour content design job for a small business. Not because it was aspirational, not because it was safe, but because I finally understood what interviews actually reward. That role gave me something the courses never did: a portfolio artifact I could stand behind, a case study with decisions I could defend, trade offs I could articulate, outcomes I could measure, work that had to hold under scrutiny without me filling in the gaps constantly. At the time, I didn't fully understand why this mattered. I just knew it was different. And when I presented that work as a portfolio case study, well, that's what landed my first role as a senior content designer at BP. Not the boot camp, not the certificate, one case study that could carry the conversation. Here's what I finally understood: interviews aren't testing confidence. They're not even testing knowledge. They're testing whether your portfolio can explain your judgment without you performing around it. That's structural, not personal. And it's why so many capable, intelligent people keep fixing the wrong thing. They seek better interview advice. They collect more credentials. They assume they're not ready yet. And honestly, I did too, until I saw what actually survived evaluation. So, let me break down why this gap exists and why the UX industry profits from keeping you on the wrong side of it. The UX education industry keeps people busy instead of hireable. And I'm going to say that again because it matters. Busy, not hireable. Here's how it works: the industry sells you courses, boot camps, certificates, frameworks, foundational knowledge, all of it designed to make you feel like you're progressing and you're learning, your work is improving. But learning and evaluation are not the same thing. Courses teach you to understand the work. Interviews test whether your portfolio can explain your judgment under pressure. Those are structurally different skills, and the industry doesn't talk about that gap because the gap is profitable. When you know what's actually being evaluated, when you don't know what's actually being evaluated, you reach for the safest visible signal you can find: certificates, credentials, more courses. It feels like progress, it feels like preparation, but it's a safety behavior. And safety behaviors keep you stuck in the almost ready loop, collecting proof that you're serious instead of building work that survives scrutiny. I'm not saying courses are useless. They're not. I learned real things from the ones I took, but they can't do what they promise. They can't make your portfolio interview ready. They can't carry the conversation for you. They can't prove your judgment under pressure. Only finished work can do that. And this is where people get stuck because finishing work that can hold up in an interview without you filling in all the gaps, requires something most people don't have access to when they're building alone: standards, feedback, collaboration, deadlines, the things that force you to make choices and defend them. Do it yourself portfolios don't just stall, they erase the very thing interviews probe: your ability to collaborate, navigate trade offs, and explain decisions that weren't made in a vacuum. And when you walk into an interview with work you built alone using made up scenarios with no one to push back on your choices, it shows. Not in the design, in the conversation. Looking back, what frustrates me the most isn't the money I spent, it's how long I misunderstood the problem. I thought interviews were exposing my confidence issues. They were exposing that my portfolio couldn't carry my thinking. That's what it was exposing. That's not a personal failing, that's a structural gap. And it's why capable people keep fixing the wrong thing. Preparation and evaluation are not the same thing. Confusing the two quietly costs people years. So if you've been stuck in the almost ready loop, that means collecting courses, refining your portfolio over and over, waiting to feel prepared, you're not behind. You're fixing the wrong problem. And that's not your fault. It's by design. Don't worry, I got you. Grab my free portfolio checklist, link below in the description.